What's up, YouTube? This is Harpies89 and the voices in my head coming at you from the Duelist Den, and today we have another top 10 archetype video. Now, I've done quite a few of these here recently through my top 10 archetypes based off of their attributes. I wasn't going to do another one for a while, but my fiance, who is pretty new to the game and has been watching a lot of my older videos, realized that a lot of the archetypes are based off of mythological or fictional things. And even though that's nothing new to veteran players like myself, I did think that it was a good idea when she suggested that I do a video based off of that. Now, in order to make this video, you, of course, have to be based off of either a mythological creature, place, or a fictional source, such as books or movies. And the order of the archetypes on this list aren't necessarily in order of the most powerful or the most liked. It's just my personal preference of how I decide to put them on the list based off of how I personally like the archetypes. So with that being said, this is my top 10 fictional based archetypes. Starting off the list, we have Atlanteans. Now, Atlanteans are designed to quickly swarm the field with level 3 or lower monsters, to easily gain access to the higher level monsters of the deck, or even go into Synchro and Xyz plays. As such, this deck has the ability to utilize cards such as Wind Up Zenmaines, number 17 Leviathan Dragon, as well as all of the Ice Barrier Dragons. What intrigues me about this archetype is that it is based off of one of the most controversial and legendary cities to ever have its name uttered. That city, of course, being Atlantis. Now, while many believe that Atlantis is just a myth, there are others like myself who believe that it did at one point actually exist. And while the city is still largely considered a myth, countless scientific expeditions have been led to try and find the city that was first referenced in Plato's works titled Timaeus and Critias, which coincidentally have cards named after them as well. And it has inspired many movies, TV series, and book series, such as the Stargate Atlantis series and the book series titled Atlantis Rises. Next on the list is Ghostrix. The playstyle for Ghostrix is based around effects that flip both players' monsters face down in order to facilitate direct attacks through the effects of their field spells and allow for quick damage early on in the game. Because of this, a vast majority of the cards have effects that control your opponent's field. Now, the design is based around several horror creatures from horror films such as vampires, mummies, and ghosts, and is the only holiday-specific archetype. And I personally love this archetype because of that fact. Everybody knows, at least all my friends know, and some of you who've watched my holiday specials know that Halloween is my own personal favorite holiday. So of course I had to have this on the list. Elemental Heroes come in at the number 8 spot. This archetype is one of the most versatile of any archetype that's ever been created, as it does not have one primary playstyle. Although the main function for every Elemental Hero deck is reliant on fusion summoning, the archetype itself does have limitless playstyles, from the pure builds consisting of only the Elemental Hero monsters to the more recent builds which use the Masked Hero and Vision Hero monsters as well. Now, I personally don't like playing this archetype, or using it, I should say, because I can never pin down exactly which build or play style that I want to use. Now, what they are based off of are superheroes with elemental powers. Now, Elemental Progenitrix is sort of the representation of the Human Torch, as they both are the fire-based heroes. Elemental Hero Avian could be a representation of the Red Tornado, as they both command wind. Bubbleman is Washout, as they are both water-based. Clayman could be representative of the hero Terra, as they are both based around earth and stone and rock. And of course, Sparkman could be the representation of Static, with his command over electricity. Now, the reason I like them based off of what they're based on is, again, because they are based off of superheroes, and to me that makes them worthy of this list. The Noble Knight archetype is reliant on the Noble Arms equipped spells to gain major advantage. The monsters themselves have the ability to switch their attribute from light to dark, and have various effects from special summoning to searching, and the spells have the ability to provide everything from protection to attack boost, and even replenish life points. The Noble Knights are based off of one of my favorite legends, the Arthurian Knights of the Round Table, while the equipped spells are based off the weapons that they used. The reason this is one of my favorite legends is that there are conflicting viewpoints as to whether or not they actually existed, with some scientists having evidence that they did and others saying that the evidence is vague and circumstantial. What is known according to the legends and what scientific evidence there is that the Knights of the Round Table were King Arthur's most trusted and skilled knights, and that they defended the innocent, and the kingdom was one of the most noble and peaceful kingdoms that ever existed. Number 6 is Kaijus. Now, Kaijus have 3 effects. Their on-field effects allow you to remove Kaiju counters for activation, and they have a variety of things they do, primarily stopping what your opponent's effects do, or preventing your opponent from attacking and things like that. Now, they do have 2 in-hand effects, the first of which is that they allow you to tribute your opponent's monsters in order to special summon themselves to the field, and the second is that if your opponent controls a Kaiju monster, you can special summon them to your side of the field as well. Now, the effect to tribute your opponent's monsters gives them the ability to get around effects that prevent targeting your opponent's monsters or destroying your opponent's monsters by card effects, and special summoning themselves to both your opponent's field and your own is reminiscent of the film genre that they are named after. Now, the kaiju film genre essentially is just movies where 2 giant monsters are going head to head each other in a giant joy death match for no other reason than to kill each other. Some of the most notable kaiju films in existence are the Godzilla franchise and most recently the movie Pacific Rim. Starting off the top 5, we have the Nordic Aesir archetype. Now, this is one of the slower-based synchro archetypes, as the majority of its monsters don't have built-in special summoning capabilities. However, a couple of them do have the ability to bring out other Nordic monsters, or use tokens, or use monsters in your hands for their synchro summonings. Now, that being said, if you do manage to get the Nordic gods out on the field, you will have one of the most powerful field presence out of any archetype that's ever been in existence, as the Nordic monsters do have the ability to special summon themselves back from the graveyard after they're destroyed, and they also have built-in negation effects as well. Now, this archetype is, of course, based off of the 3 major Nordic gods, being Thor, Odin, and Loki. And in mythology, each of the gods has a specific skill set, i.e. Loki is the god of mischief, Thor of thunder and lightning, and Odin is the Allfather and is omnipresent. And each has a group of creatures of minions they command, which is similarly present in the archetype, with Loki being affiliated with the Nordic Alfair, Thor the Nordic Beast, and Odin with Nordic Ascendants. Biting their way into the number 4 spot is Vampires. Now, the main function for Vampire decks is to eliminate key cards from your opponent's deck via milling and other effects. This deck does also have the ability to special summon a good portion of its monsters, and has access to many cards that are either attribute or type specific, such as Book of Life and Allure of Darkness. Now, this archetype is based around my favorite mythological creatures, the vampires. Now, the vampire myth originated with the Transylvanian prince Vlad the Impaler, who was known not only for impaling his enemies on stakes, but for drinking their blood in an attempt to gain their life force. Now, the legends of Vlad the Impaler inspired many stories from Dracula to the more modern versions of vampires, including those seen in the Underworld and Twilight franchises. The number 3 spot goes to Zodiacs. Now, where Zodiacs rely on quick Xyz summons, the downside is that each of the Xyz monsters require several monsters, usually 4, as materials. They get around this by having an effect that allows them to be summoned with any one other Zodiac monster. The main deck monsters give additional effects to the Xyz monsters, while the effects of the Xyz monsters themselves allow them to gain the total attack of the monsters that are attached to them as materials. Now, this archetype is one of the more questionable for this list, as it is not based off of any mythological creatures, spiritual beings, or fictional works, but is rather based off of the Zodiac belief system. Now, while I don't personally believe in the Zodiac, I have always found it interesting, as the Zodiac is a system of beliefs designed to interpret a person's characteristics, who you are compatible with, and even predicting a person's future at times. Now, the 12 signs of the Zodiac are represented by different animals, and each Zodiac monster corresponds with one of them. Now, as seen by this chart, the Zodiac's names are a combination of the Zodiac animal they are directly correspondent with, in addition to the weapon that the Zodiac monster uses. For the number 2 spot, we have Cosmos. Now, unlike most decks these days, Cosmos rely heavily on main deck monsters. The archetype rarely uses the extra deck, as the extra deck monsters usually slow the deck down. Cosmos can quickly and easily search out their smaller monsters through the trigger effects of the larger monsters, and their smaller monsters have quick effects that allow you to special summon the larger monsters. Now, in addition to this, they have very powerful effects that allow you to get around almost any field, and they can go toe-to-toe with any larger monster, as their boss monsters usually have a base attack of 2,500 attack points or higher. Now, the thing I love most about this archetype, however, is that it was designed to emulate 2 of the most iconic films ever created, being The Wizard of Oz and Star Wars. Now, personally though, I think the Wizard of Oz thing is just a bunch of bullshit and a way to get around copyright infringement. But, you know, whatever. I personally think they're primarily based around the Star Wars franchise. Taking the number 1 spot is, of course, Harpies. Now, Harpies are my own personal favorite, and they do have a lot of versatility. They can quickly swarm the field via Harpy Channeler and Elegant Egotist. They can search through cards like Harpy Harpist, Hysteric Sign, and Harpy Queen. They can boost and protect each other, and even have backrow destruction via their field spell Harpy's Hunting Ground, which, as I said earlier, can be searched through Harpy Queen. And though many decks, i.e. Blackwings, Dragoonies, and Raid Raptors, have tried emulating them, none of them can quite compare with the originals. Now, the creatures of this archetype are based on 2 separate mythological creatures, dragons and harpies. And while most people know about dragons, many don't know the origins of the harpies themselves. Now, harpies are wind spirits from Greek and Roman mythology, known for stealing food from their victims while they ate, and were used by the gods to carry evildoers, specifically those who had killed their family, to the Erinyes, who were deities of vengeance, to be punished for their sins. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it. I got to do a lot of research for this, looking up the various myths and fictions behind these archetypes. And I actually learned something new doing the research, and I hope you guys learned a little bit something watching this video as well. As always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments in the box below, and tell your friends, your family, everyone you know who plays this game or just enjoys watching YouTubers to check out my channel and subscribe to it. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers by May 29th, which is my birthday, and I could use your guys' help doing that. Also, make sure you check out the Duelist Den Facebook page. I post up on that page every Sunday as to how many videos I'm doing throughout the week and what type of videos I'm doing. And to my fiance, I just want to say I love you. Thank you for giving me the idea for this video, and I will see you soon. Until next time, this is Harpy Hunter 89 and the voices in my head signing off.
Take a shot and you run it side by side. It's a blur as I go.